Welcome to the Daily Bolster. Each day we welcome transformational executives to share their real-world experiences and practical advice about scaling yourself, your team, and your business.
Welcome to the Daily Bolster. I'm Matt Blumberg, co-founder and CEO of Bolster, and with me today is Heidi Roizen. Heidi is a recovering entrepreneur, my favorite kind. She is a venture capitalist. She sits on a couple of private boards, a couple of public boards, and Heidi, we're happy to have you here today.
I'm thrilled to be here, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So one quick question for you before we get to our topic today. I know you worked at Apple a long time ago. What was it like when you were there? I mean, everyone knows Apple now as iPhone and TV, and it was I think a pretty different place.
Well, at the time I joined, let's see, Gil Amelio had just started as CEO, and the same week I joined, the company reported a $700 million loss, I think, for the quarter. So yeah, things have changed a bit since then.
Did you work with Steve Jobs?
Very long story, but yes, I had actually worked with Steve way before his return to Apple. So I only briefly overlapped with him when he came back to Apple the second time.
A true loss for the world.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so we are here today to talk about boards, and the question for you is, of all the boards you've sat on as a VC, as an independent, what are the best ways, let's call it 3 top ways, for a CEO to help onboard a new director to help make that director highly functional and successful as quickly as possible?
Well, I'm really glad you asked me this, because I think so much effort goes into picking directors, and then the vast majority of CEOs, I think they think the job is over when they've picked them. And,
Right.
and really that onboarding of the CEO, of the director, is so important by the CEO. So I mean, the very first thing that I would say is the CEO needs to proactively build a relationship with that new director. If you are only talking to that director in the boardroom, if you are only meeting with them when you have a meeting or something to discuss, you're not building the relationship that you're going to need when the proverbial crap hits the fan.
Right.
So point 1 is you build that relationship up front, put some time into it.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And look, hopefully you've done some of that during the recruiting process, but you really do have to continue that.
Absolutely.
So that's great. All right, number 2.
Number 2, I really believe every CEO should be willing to expose their entire leadership team to a new director. And I personally think the best way to do that is, schedule 1 or even 2 full days where the new director comes in and meets with every single person on the direct reporting leadership team. And the goal is really for that person to understand, what does each person do? What keeps them up at night? And again, to build that relationship, because on the flip side of that, as a director, I want to know that the leadership team is comfortable coming to me, frankly, if something is problematic or if there is something that needs to be resolved. I want to have that level of comfort. So small problems don't become big problems. And the best way to do that is start off with that recognized and accepted relationship building opportunity to come in and learn about each person and their job.
Right. That is also great. I think that there's a minimum to it, which is they must know the CFO, they must know the head of product and see the product. They must spend time with the head of revenue. But I think I'm with you. It's best practice. Meet everybody: HR, legal,
absolutely,
sales, customer success. So excellent. All right. And number 3.
And the third one, now I am presuming that also when you bring on board somebody, you're giving them all the material and you're giving them everything they should be getting so that they can become up to speed. But I think every new board member needs a board buddy.
Yes.
You need somebody who's been on that board that you can call and ask really dumb questions that you would be embarrassed to ask. You need a trusted friend who's been on the board for a while, that no matter what you want to call them up and ask them about, they're going to keep it in the cone of silence and they're going to be there for you.
I love it. I'm a big believer in the board buddy. How long do you sort of insist that those run, or what's the best practice? Like I always tell, when I pull a new board member in, I give them a board buddy, and my instruction is, hey, for at least 2 or 3 meetings,
Yes,
please meet before the meeting and after the meeting. Like, get the dumb questions out before,
right.
loop back after, and post-process what happened. But I let it drop after 2 or 3 meetings.
I don't think it needs to be prescribed in advance. I think that sometimes a board member might feel, particularly if they're an expertise in something and somebody else has expertise in something different, that they may need to always be asking some questions outside of the natural process of a board meeting or board prep. And so I think some of these things run their natural course, where you kind of onboard and you get up to speed and then you don't really need the board buddy anymore. I think sometimes these natural board relationships form where there will be some individuals on your board who feel more comfortable talking to 1 or 2 of the others. And again, I think this is very distinct from having sort of factions or cabals or something on your board. You do
Right.
not want a situation where there are board members who are spending time talking to each other about your issues and not bringing the issues to the board. That is not what I'm talking about here.
This is
What
a
I'm
point
talking
to
about
point
here
onboard.
is a new board member having someone they can go to that will keep the questions, the Q&As, the discussions confidential, so that they can learn what they need to learn to become a fully functioning board member, not so you can divide the board into subgroups.
Heidi, thank you for being with us on the Daily Bolster. This is great advice for anyone who's adding independent directors.
My pleasure.